So, over the last week or so, the Milwaukee Bucks have made a couple moves that have made people scratch their heads. First, they waived and stretched Damian Lillard's contract in order to create the cap room to sign Miles Turner. So, Dame had 113 million left on his contract over the next 2 years, and instead of paying him that money over the next 2 years, they stretched his contract to pay it to him over the next 5 years, of course releasing him, and they no longer have him. So that means that on average they'll have above $22 million in dead cap on their balance sheet for the next 5 years, which is pretty detrimental if you're trying to build a championship team. Yet what this allowed them to do was to sign Miles Turner, because Dame's current contract for next season was going to be over 55 million, meaning they wouldn't have any cap room, would have no flexibility to make a move like they did. So they get the room and they sign Miles Turner to 4 years, $107 million. So why does this make sense? Well, a lot of people would say it doesn't make sense because you have all that dead cap from Lillard's contract, and even with Miles Turner, the Bucks aren't going to be one of the favorites to win the championship over the next 4 years, the next 5 years. Yet, here's my possible explanation for it. I think that the reason they did this is because the Milwaukee Bucks are going all in on next year, so this upcoming season. And the reason I say this is because before the summer, the Bucks were not in a great position. They just lost again in the first round to the Indiana Pacers. Damian Lillard would have been injured for next season. This roster was aging. They'd used up all their assets trading for Jrue Holiday, then trading him away, and then trading Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. And really, they just had nowhere left to go. So they get better this season because they wouldn't have had Dame. They add Miles Turner, and they go all in to try and win the championship. And are they the favorites? No, they're definitely behind at least the Cavs and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference, and that's not to mention even the Western Conference. But they have a chance because they have the best player in the East, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and this was going to be their best chance to win a championship again with Giannis, because they weren't going to be able to do it in future seasons when the Celtics are healthy again, when Halliburton's back and the Pacers are healthy again, and they're just running out of time. And then the second part of this plan, which is whether it works or not this season, is I think the plan is to trade Giannis, Turner, any other assets next season and start their rebuild. Because, as I mentioned, they're just out of assets, out of options, and they're kind of heading this way. They won a championship in 2021. They had their championship window, but when you're competing every year, building around a superstar like Giannis, you have to trade the picks, you have to trade the young players to try and get better now. And they're just experiencing the tail end of that. So they go all in for one more season, and then they potentially move on Giannis, move on any other tradable assets, and start their rebuild. And then if they're a rebuilding team, Damian Lillard's dead money just doesn't matter because they're not competing for a championship. They don't need the extra salary cap room. So that's what I think the Bucks are thinking. That's a possible explanation for these moves, these desperate moves, but give yourself the best chance next season and then trade your assets and try and recoup future assets to start a rebuild. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see how good the Bucks are next season. I mean, I could see them being decently competitive because they have Giannis, they have Turner. This is the team that needs Bradley Beal, by the way, if he gets bought out by the Suns, because their front court is way stronger than their back court.